Welcome to the Bite-Sized Tech News TLDR. We are diving into a massive one today, so strap in.
Yeah, this one it's honestly pretty heavy.
It really is. Our mission here is always to give you the bottom line on complex tech news, no fluff. And today's deep dive is pulling from a stack of urgent FBI alerts, reports from PC Mag, Bleeping Computer, TechCrunch, ViceE, and INCB.
Right, the Spanish Cybersecurity Institute. They've been all over this.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. We all have this baseline assumption, right? If you download a game from a multi-billion-dollar storefront like Valve's Steam platform, you assume it's safe.
You assume it's been vetted, scrubbed.
Right. But here is the hook. Between May 2024 and January 2026, that fundamental trust was weaponized.
Yeah.
If you or, maybe someone in your household downloaded seemingly harmless indie games from Steam during that window, we're not talking about a slow hard drive or a weird glitch.
No, absolutely not.
Your crypto wallets, your bank accounts, your core digital identities could be in severe immediate danger right now.
And we need to be really clear right up front about the sophistication here. I mean, this wasn't a smash and grab.
Right.
Someone didn't just throw malware at the wall to see what stuck. This was a patient, calculated infiltration of the software supply chain itself.
Which is terrifying.
It is, because they took the very infrastructure of Steam. The mechanisms designed to deliver those rapid, seamless game updates to millions of players, and they literally turned it into a Trojan horse.
Using the platform's efficiency against the user.
Exactly. Delivering advanced information-stealing malware directly to personal machines, completely bypassing almost every conventional security gate we have.
Well, to really grasp the gravity of this, I think you have to step away from the code for a minute.
Yeah.
We need to look at the actual human tool here.
Yeah, the financial and emotional devastation in these reports is staggering.
It brings this abstract concept of a supply chain attack into brutal focus. There's this specific story in the InsideB reports about a streamer. He goes by Rastaland TV.
Right, I read that case. It's heartbreaking.
Set the scene for you. It's late 2025. Rastaland TV is an independent content creator, and tragically, he is battling stage 4 cancer. He's running a live broadcast specifically to raise funds for his medical treatments. So he's in this highly vulnerable position, interacting with his community, just relying entirely on their goodwill.
Which is, unfortunately, exactly the kind of environment where social engineering thrives. The attackers aren't just looking for open ports on a router.
Right, they're looking for human vulnerabilities.
Exactly. In that atmosphere of trust and community interaction, they set the trap. Someone in his Twitch or YouTube chat, acting as a helpful viewer or presenting themselves as a potential sponsor, they recommend that he try out this new, relatively unknown game called Block Blasters.
And the crucial detail here is the delivery mechanism. The viewer doesn't send him to some shady third-party website with fake flashing download buttons.
No, because that would raise red flags.
Right. They don't send a direct executable file through a private message. They just point him to Steam.
And Steam is trusted.
Exactly. Rastaland searches for the game. He sees it hosted on Steam, sees the standard store page, user reviews, the system requirements. It exists entirely within Valve's walled garden. Operating under that normal assumption of safety, he clicks download.
He genuinely believes he's just downloading a standard file for a little indie game. But the reality is, he's pulling down a weaponized payload that's just been lying dormant on Valve servers, waiting for a user exactly like him to trigger it.
And the fallout is immediate. Within minutes of launching that game live, on stream, in front of his audience, over $32,000 intended for his life-saving cancer care just vanishes from his crypto wallets.
Yeah.
Gone.
Just devastating.
And he wasn't an isolated incident. Data from INCB and cyber activists like VX Underground estimates that anywhere from 260 to 405 victims were hit by this specific campaign.
With total losses estimated around 150 grand.
Right. It makes me think about how we model security. It's less like buying a product that turns out to be defective and more like hiring a thoroughly background-checked security guard for your office building.
Okay, I like this analogy.
You trust the security company, right? So you hand the guard the master keys. But 3 months later, without telling you, the security company swaps that guard out for a known bank robber.
Wow, yeah.
Your building's doors are still locked, the perimeter is secure, but the guy with the master key is already sitting inside. How does a user even begin to defend themselves when the storefront itself hands them the malware?
That is the defining challenge of modern cybersecurity right there. The perimeter has shifted entirely. You aren't defending against a hacker trying to brute force their way into your network from the outside anymore.
They're already inside.
Right. The platform you trust is literally walking the hacker right through your front door. What's fascinating here is the precise mechanics of how the theft actually occurs without triggering the usual alarms.
Yeah, let's get into the how.
Because when people hear that $32,000 in cryptocurrency was stolen, the immediate assumption is usually that the victim messed up, right? Like they typed their password into a fake phishing website, or they accidentally approved a malicious smart contract.
Let's actually define that real quick for the listener, because
Yeah.
smart contract gets thrown around a lot in tech news. In the context of crypto wallets, a smart contract is essentially just code running in a blockchain that executes automatically when certain conditions are met.
Right.
So if you give a malicious smart contract permission to interact with your wallet, you are basically pre-authorizing it to drain your funds automatically. You don't even need to give it your password.
Exactly right. It's a massive risk vector. But in this case, the malware operates on a much more insidious local level. The attackers aren't using smart contracts. They are using highly specialized info stealer payloads, specifically variants known as VDAR and fickle stealer.
And these are not the old school viruses that pop up as scary skull on your screen, right?
Right.
Or lock your files and demand a ransom.
Oh, not at all. They are designed for absolute stealth. They operate completely silently in the background while the game itself is running normally.
So you're just playing the game.
You're playing block blasters, you're experiencing no performance drops, no screen flickering. You're completely unaware that a script is frantically cataloging your digital life in the background. And the reason these info stealers are so dangerous is that they bypass one of the most fundamental security measures we all rely on, two-factor authentication or 2FA.
Which, I mean, that feels totally counterintuitive. Every security professional, every IT department tells us that 2FA is the silver bullet. Turn on 2FA, get the text message, or use the Authenticator app, and you are safe.
How can a background script just bypass 2FA?
Because the malware doesn't need your password, and therefore it doesn't need to trigger a new login request that would prompt a 2FA code to be generated in the first place.
Wait, what does it target then?
It targets something called session cookies. To understand this, we have to look at how modern web browsers manage your identity.
When you log into an account, say your web-based crypto wallet, your Gmail, your online banking, the server verifies your username, your password, and your 2FA code. Once you pass that check, the server sends a tiny piece of data, a cookie, to your web browser.
Right.
This cookie basically acts as a cryptographic voucher that says this specific user on this specific browser is already fully authenticated.
Okay, I use this analogy a lot, but I think it works perfectly here. The browser acts like a VIP pass. You showed your ID to the bouncer at the front door. That's your password and your 2FA.
Right.
But once you're inside, you get a wristband.
Right.
As long as you have that wristband, you don't have to show your ID every time you walk to the bar or go to a different room. The session cookie is the wristband. It's why I don't have to re-enter my password every time I open a new tab for my email.
That's a perfect way to visualize it. Now, your web browser, whether it's built on Chromium, like Google Chrome and Microsoft Edge, or a different engine like Firefox, it stores these session cookies locally on your computer's hard drive.
Just sitting there.
Yep. Usually kept in small SQLite databases buried deep in your user folders. VDAR and fickle stealer are specifically programmed to immediately locate those hidden database folders, rip them open, extract the session cookies, and send them quietly over the internet to a command and control server operated by the attackers.
So the attacker effectively steals your VIP wristband while you're distracted by the puzzle game.
Yes. The attacker then takes your stolen session cookie and manually injects it into their own web browser on their own machine.
Oh, wow.
When they navigate to your crypto wallet exchange or your email provider, the website server looks at their browser, sees the valid VIP wristband, and simply assumes the attacker is you, sitting at your desk, already logged in.
So it completely circumvents the login screen entirely.
Exactly. No login screen means no prompt for a password. And more importantly, no prompt for a two-factor authentication code. The attacker clones your active session, sweeps the funds out of your wallet, and disappears. All of this happens while you are looking at the title screen of an indie game.
That is a fundamental breakdown of how we secure our digital lives. I mean, if the session token itself is stolen from the hard drive, the locked door on the website doesn't matter because the attacker already has the key.
Precisely.
Which leads us to the biggest question of this entire deep dive. To understand the bottom line of our own security, we have to figure out how these attackers bypassed Valve's massive security infrastructure to get that malware onto our hard drives in the first place. Valve is not a small, scrappy startup.
No, they are a titan of the industry.
They have immense resources. How does a massive company let this happen?
Well, to understand that, we really have to look back at the architectural and economic shift and how Steam allows developers to publish games.
Okay.
If we rewind several years, Valve used a system called Steam Greenlight. It involved community voting, a bit of curation, and a significantly higher barrier to entry. But as the indie game development scene absolutely exploded, Valve realized they were becoming a bottleneck.
It just couldn't keep up with the volume.
Exactly. They couldn't process the sheer number of games people wanted to sell, so they retired Greenlight and replaced it with a system called Steam Direct.
Which is basically opening the floodgates, the open door policy.
Essentially, yes. The goal was democratization, but the trade-off was security. Under Steam Direct, the barrier to entry was drastically lowered. Anyone with a working email address, a bank account, and a $100 publishing fee could create a Steamworks developer account and upload a game to the global storefront.
But Valve isn't completely blind here, right?
No, they do run automated scans for known viruses when a game is initially uploaded. They review the store page to make sure it doesn't violate their content policies, and they check for basic technical compliance.
But I'm assuming they aren't manually reviewing the actual source code line by line.
Oh no, it would be physically impossible. Think about the volume. There are thousands of games and tens of thousands of updates pushed to Steam every single week. They rely heavily on automated heuristics to flag bad behavior.
Let's define heuristics for a second. We hear that term a lot in antivirus marketing. Instead of just looking for a specific known signature of a virus like a digital fingerprint, heuristic scanning looks at what the code is actually trying to do.
Right.
Is the code trying to secretly modify the registry? Is it trying to access hidden browser folders? If it exhibits malicious behavior, the heuristic scanner flags it, even if it's a brand new virus nobody has ever seen before.
Precisely. And the threat actors are intimately aware of how these automated heuristic scanners work. This is where the bait-and-switch tactic comes into play.
Here we go.
To bypass Valve's automated virus scans on the initial upload, the attackers simply do not include the malware in the base game.
Wow.
They upload a completely clean, entirely benign, and usually very rudimentary game. It might be what the community calls an asset flip,
where a developer just buys pre-made 3D models and code from an online store and slaps them together in an afternoon just to have something functional.
Exactly. Steam's automated scanners look at the executable file, find absolutely nothing malicious, no strange behaviors, and the game is approved for sale on the storefront.
So they establish a beachhead, they get their foot in the door legally, cleanly,
Right.
and they pass all the initial checks.
Exactly. They build a tiny bit of trust, they pass the platform's algorithms, the game goes live, and maybe a small trickle of early users buy or download it. The game sits there, behaving perfectly normally. Then, weeks or even months later, they push a software update.
And this is where the entire architecture of modern gaming turns against the user. Because a patch is supposed to be a good thing.
Right.
It's supposed to be bug fixes or performance tweaks or new level. We've been trained to want updates.
But in a supply chain attack, the software patch is the weapon delivery system. Let's look at the specific timeline for the game Block Blasters, as detailed in the Bleeping Computer Report.
Okay, break it down.
The game launched cleanly on July 30th, 2025. It sat on the storefront for an entire month, looking completely innocent. Then, on August 30th, a patch was pushed through the Steam developer portal.
Oh, man.
Now think about how Steam works on your computer. By default, it updates games automatically in the background the moment you turn your PC on. Anyone who had Block Blasters installed simply received that patch without any prompt, without clicking accept, without any interaction whatsoever.
And that August 30th patch contained the crypto drainer malware.
Yes.
So if I bought the clean game in early August, I was totally safe. My antivirus didn't flag it, Steam didn't flag it, because it was just a simple puzzle game. But the moment I turned my computer on August 30th, Steam auto-updated my library, and my machine was instantly compromised without me clicking a single malicious link.
That is the terrifying efficiency of weaponizing an established, trusted update pipeline. And the reports show this exact same methodology was used across multiple titles. There's a fascinating case study in the materials regarding an early access survival crafting game called Chimia.
Chimia. It sounds like a generic, totally normal indie game.
It does, but the payload it was carrying was massive.
Really? How bad?
Very massive. In the case of Chimia, The cybersecurity intelligence firm Prodaft tracked a severe incident on July 22nd, 2025. A known, highly sophisticated threat actor operating under the alias EncryptHub, also tracked as Larva 208, injected malicious binaries directly into the game's update files on Steam.
Okay, we need to pause here because EncryptHub is not a low-level script kiddie trying to steal a few Steam trading cards.
No, absolutely not.
This is a formidable actor. They have previously been implicated in a massive spear phishing campaign that successfully compromised over 600 global organizations. They're known in the cybersecurity community for discovering and utilizing zero-day vulnerabilities in Windows.
And for anyone unfamiliar, a zero-day vulnerability is a flaw in software that the vendor, in this case Microsoft, doesn't even know exists yet.
Right. It means there are 0 days to fix it before it gets exploited. It is the holy grail for hackers. So you have this enterprise-grade, highly funded threat actor bringing corporate espionage tools into a generic indie game on Steam.
It really shows the evolution of the threat landscape. The targets are shifting. In Chemia, EncryptHub injected a specialized malware strain known as hijackloader into a seemingly normal game file named cvkrutnp.exe.
Just hiding in plain sight.
Right. Once the player launched Chemia to chop down some virtual trees, hijackloader would execute silently in the background. Its first job was to establish what we call persistence on the Windows machine.
Meaning it embeds itself so deeply that even if you restart your computer, the malware boots back up automatically, usually by hiding scripts on the Windows registry or the startup folders?
Correct. Once persistence was established, hijackloader reached out to a command and control server. Interestingly, they didn't use a traditional dark web server. They hosted their C2 infrastructure on a Telegram channel.
So they're blending their malicious traffic with normal chat app traffic.
Exactly. From that Telegram channel, it quietly downloaded the Vidar info stealer. But they didn't stop there. Just 3 hours later, the attackers pushed another file through the Steam update pipe, a dynamic link library, or DLL, named cclib.dll. This file utilized PowerShell scripts.
Oh, PowerShell. This is a massive issue. PowerShell is a completely legitimate, incredibly powerful command line tool built right into Windows by Microsoft for system administrators.
Yep.
So when malware uses PowerShell, it's basically hijacking the computer's own internal tools to do the dirty work. It's often called living off the land because the antivirus sees a trusted Microsoft program running and often just ignores it completely.
Exactly right. The attackers use those native PowerShell scripts to pull down a second info stealer, fickle stealer. So you have a user playing a survival game while their machine is simultaneously infected with hijackloader, Vidar, and fickle stealer, all utilizing built-in Windows tools to evade detection, and all delivered through an automated Steam update.
Okay, wait. Here's where it gets really interesting. I have to interrupt here and push back on something.
Go for it.
Because I follow Valve's updates pretty closely, and I know they didn't just sit on their hands when developer accounts started getting hijacked in the past. Years ago, Valve mandated SMS verification.
That's true, they did.
Right. If a developer wants to push an update to the default branch of a game on Steam, they are required to enter a one-time code sent to their mobile phone. It's a hard requirement. So if Steam mandates this two-factor SMS check for developers putting patches, how on earth are these hackers pushing delayed updates through the system? Are they SIM swapping the original developers?
It's a brilliant question, and it highlights the fundamental limitation of relying solely on identity verification when the identity itself is fabricated from the ground up.
Oh, I see.
The SMS verification system was designed to solve a specific problem. It was meant to stop hackers from stealing a legitimate, established developer's account and using it to push malware. And to Valve's credit, it was largely successful at that specific goal.
Right. It stopped account takeovers.
But the threat actors simply adapted their methodology. They are no longer bothering to hijack existing accounts.
Because the barrier to entry is so low.
Exactly. Because the Steam direct fee is only $100, the economics of the attack change entirely. The hackers simply buy fresh developer accounts. They pay the $100 fee themselves. But to pass the SMS requirement, they use highly organized underground services that provide legitimate but entirely disposable phone numbers.
So they're using burner phones, but on an industrial automated scale.
Yes. They pass the SMS check because they actually control the burner number associated with the fake developer account. They aren't bypassing the security check. They are simply walking right through it with fraudulent credentials.
Unbelievable.
And because they are uploading a clean game initially, there is no red flag to tie that disposable phone number to malicious activity. By the time the delayed patch is pushed weeks later, And by the time the automated heuristic systems or community reports finally flag the update as malicious, the damage is completely done.
The info stealer has already executed.
The session cookies are exfiltrated, the wallets are drained, and the attackers discard the burner number and the $100 account.
It's just disposable infrastructure for a massive payout.
Yeah.
Which means the damage is done at the absolute speed of an automated download. This brings us to the natural consequence of this exploit. We aren't just talking about a technical curiosity in a few indie games anymore.
No, we are looking at massive systemic fallout.
Exactly. Fallout that has triggered federal tripwires. The FBI is officially involved. This has moved out of the realm of platform moderation and into the realm of a major federal cybercrime investigation.
And the specifics of that involvement are very telling. The Seattle division of the FBI, which notably is in the exact same geographic backyard as Valve's corporate headquarters in Bellevue, Washington, is actively hunting for victims.
They published an alert, right?
Yes, a rare, highly public alert seeking information from anyone who downloaded 7 specific games between May 2024 and January 2026.
And I want to reiterate those titles clearly for you, the listener, because if you are checking your Steam library later, this is the critical action item.
Pay attention to these.
The 7 games the FBI flagged are Block Blasters, Chemia, Dashverse, which is sometimes listed in directories as Dash FPS, Lampy, Lunara, Piratefy, and Tokenova. If any of those names appear in your Steam account history, you are part of an active federal investigation.
The time frame they provided is also vital to understand. May 2024 to January 2026 is an incredibly wide window for an active exploit. It indicates that this threat actor, or group of coordinated actors, operated with relative impunity for over a year and a half before the full scope of the operation was synthesized by law enforcement and security firms.
A year and a half, just harvesting data.
Yeah. But beyond the scope, the fact that the FBI is actively soliciting victim impact statements through a dedicated online survey and that Valve is cooperating by sending direct emails to affected users with links to that FBI portal suggests something very specific from a legal perspective.
What's the end game there? I mean, why does the FBI need a gamer who lost a few $100 to fill out a web survey?
They are almost certainly building a major federal indictment. In complex cases of large-scale wire fraud, computer intrusion, and conspiracy, federal prosecutors need establishing victims to demonstrate the aggregate scale of the financial damage to a grand jury.
Makes sense.
But there is a second, arguably more important angle here for the victims themselves. Under federal law, specifically statutes like the Mandatory Victims Restitution Act, victims of certain cybercrimes are legally entitled to restitution.
Meaning there is an actual legal mechanism to get their stolen crypto back.
Potentially, yes. The process of crypto tracing has become incredibly advanced. Companies like Chainalysis work with the FBI to track stolen funds through mixers and decentralized exchanges.
So they can follow the money.
If the FBI can identify the threat actors, arrest them, and successfully seize their assets, which often involves seizing the physical hardware containing the cryptocurrency wallets held by the criminals, a federal judge can order that seized money to be returned to the established victims. That is why filling out that survey is not just a civic duty to help catch bad guys. It is the only legal avenue for these gamers, like the streamer who lost $32,000, to potentially recover their stolen funds. But they have to come forward and formally identify themselves to the FBI to be placed on that restitution list.
That makes perfect sense. The legal machinery requires a documented victim. But looking past the immediate FBI investigation, this entire situation puts Steam in an incredibly precarious position. We're looking at Valve's impossible dilemma.
It really is impossible.
We just spent 20 minutes outlining how the current Steam Direct system allows for these delayed malicious patches to slip through. So the obvious knee-jerk response from a user is, well, Valve needs to step up and manually review every single patch for every single game before it goes live to the public.
And that sounds like a completely reasonable, responsible solution until you try to apply it to the actual scale of the Steam ecosystem.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the entire premise of Steam's dominance in the PC gaming market is frictionless distribution. It's the lifeblood of the platform. An indie developer can spot a game-breaking bug, write a fix, and push a patch to 1 million players globally in 20 minutes.
It's why early access works at all.
Exactly. It allows for the rapid, messy iteration of early access titles. It allows for massive live service games to update daily. If Valve were to suddenly implement a mandatory human-led manual code review for every single patch, for every single game,
The entire system grinds to an absolute halt.
it dies. The velocity that makes Steam incredible for developers and players alike completely evaporates. Think about the logistics. It would require an army of highly trained cybersecurity professionals analyzing compiled code, reverse engineering DLLs, and testing heuristics manually for thousands of updates a week.
That sounds incredibly expensive.
It's technically arduous and incredibly expensive. It would fundamentally change the economics of the platform, likely forcing Valve to drastically raise the barrier to entry again, killing the indie scene they built.
But I'd argue it's not entirely unprecedented for them to take drastic action when pushed into a corner. We've seen Valve restrict developers heavily when external pressures threaten the core stability of the platform.
You're right, there is a very telling precedent here, though it comes from a different angle. A few years ago, Valve faced immense existential pressure from payment processors.
The major credit card companies and financial institutions that actually handled the billions of dollars flowing through Steam.
Exactly. These processors were threatening to completely cut off services to Valve due to concerns over highly explicit adult content in certain niche games. If the payment processors pull out, Steam ceases to function as a business.
So what do?
To appease them and keep the platform financially operational, Valve implemented a draconian, highly targeted rule for developers of adult games. They banned them from utilizing the early access system entirely, and incredibly, they banned them from pushing content updates to existing games.
Wait, really? So if you make an adult game on Steam, you literally cannot use the standard patch pipeline to add new content?
Correct. Developers in that space, like Crimson Delight Games, have stated publicly that if they want to add a new level or new content to an existing adult game, they cannot use the standard automated patch system. They have to package the new content as a separate piece of downloadable content, or DLC.
Why DLC?
Because a new piece of DLC requires a brand new, distinct store page, and a new store page triggers Valve's manual review process. They essentially choked off the free-flowing update pipeline for a specific genre of games to force compliance and manual review.
So the infrastructure to force manual reviews definitely exists. They just applied it as a localized tourniquet to save their payment processing. But malware isn't a genre.
No, it's not.
You can't just filter by tags. Malware can hide in a puzzle game, a first-person shooter, a survival crafter. They can't just ban updates for all indie games. So what does this all mean for us? This brings us to the actionable part of our deep dive. How do you, the professional, the gamer, the remote worker who has sensitive corporate data or crypto wallets on your machine, actually defend your digital life when the trusted platform itself might hand you a loaded gun?
The very first line of defense is understanding the lure. You have to know how these attackers are getting people to download obscure indie games in the first place.
Yeah, what's the hook?
They aren't just uploading blockbusters and hoping the Steam algorithm magically promotes it to the front page. They are engaging in highly targeted, aggressive social engineering, primarily using third-party messaging apps like Telegram and Discord.
So they're going directly to the victim.
Yes. They scour public communities related to cryptocurrency trading, Twitch streaming, or even game moderation. They send direct messages offering free game keys for a supposed exclusive closed beta. Or they create highly professional-looking fake freelance job listings, offering to pay users $30 an hour to act as community moderators or QA testers for a new game.
People are always looking for remote side hustles.
Exactly. Or, as we saw with the Rastaland TV case, they target known cryptocurrency holders or influencers with offers of a paid promotion. They tell the user, we have a marketing budget and we will pay you $500 in Ethereum to play our game on stream for 1 hour.
It's the perfect bait. It appeals to gamers wanting free access, freelancers desperately looking for remote work, and content creators looking for legitimate sponsorships. And all the victim have to do to get paid or get the job is download a game from a massively trusted platform like Steam.
It completely disarms all their natural suspicions.
Yeah, if they asked you to download an executable file from MediaFire, you'd say no. But Steam feels safe.
Exactly. So concrete step 1 for your personal security. Verify the developer. Before you download any unknown, early access, or newly released indie title, take 60 seconds to look at the developer's history on the Steam platform.
Check their track record.
Have they released other games? Do they have a long-standing track record in the community? Or is this a brand new account that was created 3 weeks ago with a zero history? Treat work-in-progress titles from unknown entities with extreme, almost paranoid caution.
And concrete step 2. Your default setting for any unsolicited messages on Telegram or Discord must be absolute skepticism. If a random user messages you offering a free key, a paid promo, or a moderation job for a game you have never heard of, ignore it. Do not engage. Block the user. The risk simply outweighs any potential reward, no matter how good the money sounds.
And step 3 is the critical protocol if you suspect you are already compromised. If you check your library and verify that you downloaded Block Blasters, Camia, Dashverse, Lampy, Lunara, Pyrify, or Tokenova during that May 2024 to January 2026 window, you must act immediately. And I want to be very clear here. Do not assume that simply uninstalling the game through Steam or running a basic Windows Defender antivirus scan is sufficient.
Because of the persistence we talked about earlier.
Precisely. Info stealers like Hijack Loader deeply embed themselves in the Windows architecture. They hide in the registry, they disguise themselves as legitimate system processes. The only mathematically secure protocol to ensure you are safe is to completely format your computer's hard drive and reinstall the operating system entirely from scratch.
You have to wipe it completely clean. It's devastating. But if the foundation is compromised, you can't just paint the walls.
It is the only way to be absolutely certain the persistence mechanisms are destroyed. But formatting your hard drive is only the hardware side of the equation. Simultaneously, from a different known safe device like your mobile phone on a cellular network, not your potentially compromised Wi-Fi, you must immediately change the passwords for all critical accounts. Your email, your banking, your password managers.
And for crypto users.
If you hold cryptocurrency, changing your password is not enough. You must go into your wallet settings and systematically revoke all active permissions and smart contract approvals. Remember, if they have your session cookie, they have active, authenticated access until those sessions are forcefully invalidated on the server side and the underlying token permissions are revoked.
That is a brutal, exhausting remediation process, but it is entirely necessary. The average professional can no longer rely purely on the reputation of a platform, even a giant like Steam, to guarantee the safety of the files hosted on it. The perimeter of your security is no longer at the digital storefront. It is at your own keyboard. Think about the browser you're using right now to listen to this. Those cookies, those VIP wristbands, are sitting in a folder on your C drive at this very moment.
It demands a fundamental shift in how we perceive digital trust. We have to treat every execution of new code, regardless of its origin or the platform hosting it, as a potential massive liability.
So let's bring this all together. We always promise you the bottom line, so here are the 3 most important takeaways you need to walk away with today. First, the threat. Highly sophisticated hackers are using clean early access Steam games as Trojan horses. They bypass initial automated scans with benign files and weeks later push malicious automated updates containing info stealers. These info stealers silently extract your browser's session cookies, completely bypassing two-factor authentication to drain your crypto wallets and hijack your core digital identities.
Second, the target window. If you downloaded Block Blasters, Camia, Dashverse, Lampy, Lunara, Pyrify, or Tokenova between May 2024 and January 2026, you are compromised. You must securely wipe your hardware, reset all your credentials from a separate safe device, and report your case to the FBI Seattle Division to establish yourself as a victim eligible for potential federal restitution.
Third, the defense. You must be highly skeptical of any unsolicited game keys, job offers, or promotional deals sent via messaging apps like Telegram or Discord. Treat any unknown early access game as a potential severe security risk, and verify the developer's history before hitting download.
And remember that your security is ultimately your responsibility. The platforms cannot catch everything, especially when the attackers expertly weaponize the very features like automated background updates that make those platforms so convenient in the first place.
Before we go, a quick reminder to all our listeners. If you want to stay ahead of the curve on critical, fast-moving vulnerabilities like this, make sure to check out the Tech News TLDR YouTube channel. We post daily video updates breaking down the tech landscape so you are never caught off guard.
As we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with this to ponder. We just spent an hour analyzing how a multi-billion-dollar walled garden was subverted not by breaking its walls down, but by walking right through the front gate with a $100 entry fee and a burner phone. As these mega platforms grow too massive to manually police, and as automated algorithms continually fail to catch delayed, multi-stage human ingenuity, we have to wonder, are we moving toward a near future where the very concept of a safe digital storefront is entirely obsolete, forcing every individual user to act as their own private cybersecurity firm every time they click download?
It's a heavy thought, but it's the reality of the digital world we live in right now. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Stay safe out there.